Today we'll see how forward CG and aft CG affects the performance of the airplane. So to understand this better, let's look at forces acting on an airplane. We have wing and the tail, which is an inverted airfoil. Weight acts on the CG, center of gravity, and lift acts on CP, center of pressure from the wing. Then you have thrust and drag. Now the weight and the lift does not exactly act opposite to each other on the same point. They act on different points. Weight acts on CG, whereas lift acts on CP, center of pressure. This creates an arm difference between CG and CP. And the law of lever states force times perpendicular arm creates moment. So lift times arm creates moment due to lift, which acts around CG in this direction, which causes the nose of the airplane to dip. For the airplane to continue to fly straight and level, it has to create an equal amount of counteractive moment on the tail. So the plane creates that with the tail-down force created by inverted airfoil on the tail. This also has perpendicular arm to CG, but since the arm is large, the tail-down force is much smaller. So lift is equal not only to weight, but also to tail-down force. And the thrust is equal to drag, and the moment created by lift is equal to moment created by tail-down force, which we call it as compensating moment. Then the plane continues to fly straight and level. So if you look at the plane with an aft CG, is exactly same, let's just copy paste. The only difference is the CG is aft. The weight is still the same. So let's assume the CG is acting right here. Even though the weight is exactly same, because of the aft CG, the arm between the CG and CP decreases. As the arm between the CG and CP decreases, the moment created by the lift is much smaller than before, which means you don't have to create same amount of compensating moment, so we only need less tail-down force, and therefore less compensating moment. As we saw earlier, lift must be equal not only to weight, but also to tail-down force. So let's call weight and tail-down force together as effective weight. Because of higher tail-down force, the effective weight of the airplane with forward CG is much higher, so the plane has to create extra lift to carry that effective weight. Whereas on the aft CG, less effective weight, you need less lift. The plane with forward CG has to create extra lift to compensate for the extra tail-down force, so the plane has to fly at slightly higher angle of attack to create that extra lift. But the plane with aft CG does not have to create an extra lift, so it does not have to fly at higher angle of attack. So flying with higher angle of attack creates more induced drag. So as the induced drag increases, the plane's cruising speed is lower. Whereas for the plane with aft CG, since the induced drag is much smaller, the cruising speed is higher, so the plane reaches the airport much quicker, burning less fuel. For the airplane with forward CG, since the cruising speed is much slower, it burns more fuel. So the plane with forward CG ends up reaching the destination late. So in terms of performance, you can see the forward CG is bad, whereas aft CG is good because of less fuel burn and higher cruising speed.